Hi, welcome back. We're officially in Module 1 this week. We're going to get to know our camera a little bit better. So let me go ahead and flip on over to our Chrome window. Give me just one moment. I hope you guys all have that first discussion posting done. Introduce yourself again. Make sure you get this stuff done. 10 points, it counts. This week I just wanted to go over really briefly what we were going to be discussing. So when I click on Module 1 Learning Objectives and Tasks, you will see a lot of writing. This week you're going to learn to start becoming familiar with your camera and see the world around you in new ways. At the beginning of this course, you will also learn the elements of design as they relate to photography or techniques we can use to make a picture eye-catching. We are going to do a couple of very basic editing techniques in Photoshop, so I will do a brief demo video on that, cropping, adjusting brightness, saturation, and contrast. Right now, I'm not super worried about the camera setting you're using. So if you have a DSLR and you look at the top of it, let me grab my camera for you guys. There's a whole lot of buttons at the top of my camera. Right now this week, if you put it, I would put it either on that auto with no flash, depending on what lighting setting you're using. You can do the auto flash, that's fine. I personally also would encourage you, depending on what you're taking, you see a bunch of little pictures of people. These all have different functions, and these are all my automatic settings. When you get up to the dial that says P, TV, AV, M, these are, well, P, TV, and AV are all semi-automatic, semi-manual functions. P is also a great one to use for this project. The best way to learn in this class is by doing. So we will focus again continually on these settings, but take a picture in, automatic and see what happens. Take a picture in manual mode, see what happens. So don't feel at this point like you have to know what every single thing is doing. So when we go back to Module 1 again, when I'm looking at this page, biggest thing with this, just take so many pictures. People think that I have to take, okay, I'm going to take 10 pictures because the assignment is 10 pictures and then I'm not going to go beyond that. Well, here's the thing. This is a digital camera. You can delete files. So if your memory card starts to get full, delete pictures. Take 50 pictures for an assignment, and then you have so many options to choose from rather than trying to scrape together the best. So that is one of my biggest pieces of advice here. You can see this week we're going to be reading Chapter 1, these quick tips. You do not have a quiz this week. We're getting started. We're not really super worried. He has some great tips in that. There is an Elements PowerPoint. Elements of design is something I talk about in all of my classes. Specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about how they relate to photography. There are some videos. There is another discussion posting. You're going to respond to 2 other postings. I want you to watch and practice this Photoshop overview. I will post a short practice video as well of me doing it so you can follow along. And again, there is this assignment, this scavenger hunt. And then once you're done with the assignment, you will upload it to that Flickr group. So going back to my module, I can click on this Elements of Photo. RFS just means reduced file size. That's for me to know. And you can see, even with that, it takes a little bit of time to load. But I can see where I am looking at these basics. You can scroll this on your own. You can see what is it that makes up a photograph. And there's a big idea and the difference between taking a picture and making a picture. As a photographer, you really need to see what's going on in your images. You're not just like randomly pointing and shooting and just hoping for the best. So scroll through this image. You're really paying attention to what you're looking at. You're not just randomly taking pictures and hoping for the best. Elements of composition: line, color, shape, contrast, emphasis, texture, and space. So as you look through this PowerPoint, you will see lots of examples of how photographs are using these elements. And so pay attention to that. They are focusing on different things. This one's focusing on color. We can look at shape at the next one. So I want you to make sure that you're going through and evaluating all of these. Then when I go back to my module, so you can see it is again 32 pages long. Once you scroll down to the end of this PowerPoint, which we'll get to in just a second, you can see what your assignment is. So I'm skipping ahead for a second, but you're going on a photography scavenger hunt. You want to take pictures that represent the different elements of photography. You're going to take 11 pictures in total, and you want to title all of your photographs with the elements it represents and save your pictures to a folder titled Your Name, Elements, and Scavenger Hunt, and that will be for your personal storage. So when we, again, what's the back and forth with the modules? You can see another thing that I've posted this week is the camera tutorials. So this is a really great resource through the textbook. I mentioned that we don't all necessarily have the same camera. I don't expect everyone to have the same one. Tony Northrup has these great free 1-hour camera video tutorials. So depending on what model of camera you have, you can scroll through and look and find your camera. You know, say you have that T6i, it's right here. You can click on this and it gives you a brief overview in an hour of how to use your camera. So look at these resources. They're here for a reason. He's even, I'm going to say, thrown some other tidbits of information. The next thing you'll look at is the element scavenger hunt. So again, I mentioned that assignment. You have to turn in 11 photographs, and you can see how each picture should meet the theme. So one of them will incorporate line. One of them you'll use line to create movement. A picture is going to show us color, how color is incorporated. Shape, one example of distinguishing shapes, one example of overlapping shapes. Then you can pick one between contrast. You can contrast through size or lighting. Then you can choose another one through texture or through color. And then you're going to pick two of these to reflect in two different photographs. So emphasis through positioning, emphasis through framing, and emphasis through focus. Then we look at texture. You get to choose that one. And space. You get to choose that one. So my hope is that, yes, I'm giving you parameters for these photographs, but how you interpret that is really up to you, you know. And you can download this assignment sheet with, you know, say you want this in another format by clicking on the link below. So make sure that's going to be worth 50 points. You get that done. And you can see the Photoshop video and the Flickr group. So this is going to be where I click on this link to submit my photographs. And so I would click on the link. It's going to take me to this OCC Module 1. Right now there are no pictures in it. I will walk you through in a different video a demonstration of me submitting that that file. And then going back yet again to my images here, you can see I have another response. And before I click on that, I wanted to point out that at the end of every module, I have a help section. So if you run into questions that aren't covered here that you think the class in general, you think it applies to other people as well, post it and I'll try and answer as specifically as I can. So when I go to look at the discussion posting for this this module, it's loading. This is worth 10 points. Once you've taken your pictures, you are going to look at them, review them, and in 3 to 5 sentences tell me which photo you think is the most successful and why, which photo you think needs the most improvement and why, and if you were to do this project again, what would you change about the way you took your photographs? Looking at the big picture, what element or theme connects all 11 of your images? Once you submit your posting, you must reply to 2 other postings for full credit. So the idea is that there is more than one of you in the class. We're going to talk about our images together.